Hello, it's Midday Live from the News Hub here at Adesawe in Accra. My name is Efua Tieku. Coming up this afternoon. Construction of 5,000-seater National Cathedral to take off. More than 500 workers of defunct Beige Bank to be laid off following restructuring by managers of Consolidated Bank. And on the foreign front, Theresa May prepares to visit Africa for the first time since becoming Prime Minister in 2016. We have all these coming up in the next 1 hour. Do stay with us. And do remember, we are live on DSTV channel 279. Now to our very first story. President Akufo-Addo has been petitioned to reconsider a plan to clear judges from their Rage roundabout residence to make way for the construction of a 5,000-seater national cathedral. Many residents whose homes are situated on the vast stretch of land to be used for the cathedral, including 9 judges, have been served quit orders to vacate the area immediately. It would be recalled that the judges' bungalows were built only 5 years ago by the Judicial Service to house Courts of Appeal judges. Alternative bungalows have been rented by governments for the judges to relocate temporarily while it begins construction of over 20 new bungalows on a different land in replacement for what is going to destroy to make way for the cathedral. Other institutional buildings to be demolished are the Scholarship Secretariat, the Judicial Training Institute and the Passport Office. But many have raised concerns about the building of the cathedral, including the fact that the relocating the judges at rented bungalows would constitute interference with judicial independence and smacks of continuing disregard for the welfare of judges. So joining me in the studio is government spokesperson on infrastructure, Richard Asante-Yeboah. Good afternoon to you, Richard.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us in the studio. So one of the key issues of this cathedral is the location, and many are questioning why it should be placed at such a point where several other structures and some very recent structures will be demolished for it to be put up.
Thank you very much. I think the issues are being diluted, and also people are introducing elements that are not known to even government to the story. And some of the suggestions being made are actually false.
So you're saying this is not right?
No, I'm coming to the substance of the issue. I'm trying to put things in their right perspective because
we don't have so much time, so if you can just get
that's okay. I think the first point that I want to make is that in the question about it affecting several properties within that enclave is something that is not entirely true. Indeed, we know for a fact that a couple of institutions, including one government property and also a property belonging to a mission as one of the embassies, is being affected. We know that it also is going to affect
is it going to affect the passport office?
That I don't know about that. Well, the point
is
is
it going
that
to affect
people have actually
9 judicial
no, that's not true. That's not true. The only thing I know is that there are certain judicial service staff, some of the properties around that would be affected. But there's overall
let
plan
me get it. Is it going to? Let me get it right, because we mentioned some structures that are going to be affected. The passport office, you're saying it's not going to affect it.
Those structures that you are mentioning, because obviously nobody here has been told the exact location. I'm not sure you have a map to the area where these things will be happening.
So government is not aware of exactly the size of land is going to use.
Government is aware of it, but the point is that the media are mostly not aware, and they are giving their own contexts. That is why, if you allow me, well, you told me you have no time, because I wanted to use the opportunity to explain to Ghanaians what is happening right now. Because I've been told that government is going to incur cost, and government, this structure being put together, government is not going to spend a penny on it. What government is doing is providing leadership, and government is equally providing the land. And the team that were put together during the inauguration, the Board of Trustees, that was put together on the 16th of March 2017 by His Excellency the President, well, they are going to see to all these things and mobilize funds through philanthropists and also other donors who would want to contribute in this regard. We are looking at having a structure that would sit over 5,000 people. It does appear that everybody's mindset is that it's going to be an area where it's just going to be for religious purposes. Not only that, it's an area that can be used for other national events. That's going to be used. That's going to house a museum. But that's going to do other things for the nation.
The question about that
is that the aspect of the judicial service, which I need to highlight,
just a minute.
I think if you give me a point on that, leave me a minute on that. Let me clarify that. Indeed, there's an ongoing plan by the judicial service to construct about 21 facilities for its members. What they've done over the period is that the contract had been awarded, and as part of the contract, they were relocating their members to a particular facility, and which was being borne by the contractor or the developer that has been given the contract. Already, there were about 9 people, and about 5 of them had been relocated to a place at the cost of the developer. The additional 5 who were living at the area where we are going to have this national monument or the cathedral being erected. About 4 of them have already left. It's left with one person who is also who is leaving the place within the next couple of days. The point is that government has not given anybody eviction notice.
The issue about, I mean, you just mentioned that it's not going to be just a cathedral and that it's going to be used for other national. Is this the best use of our money now? We do have other national facilities that we use. And considering,
but the point is that government is not putting any money in it. We are not spending a dime on
government is the biggest
our equity factor. Is land. Our equity is land. That's what I'm saying, that money. Government doesn't sell land. Government is
but that land could also
government
be
is equally looking at an opportunity to have other individuals, the churches particularly, partnering government, to have an event, a center where we can have a lot of public events. Remember that when it comes to other events, we erect tents and all that to try and organize ourselves, and there's not a single facility in this country that can house about 5,000 people outside the stadium and other facilities like that. And we see what happens to our stadium.
No, so back to my earlier question.
It is good that this thing is coming in. Beyond that, it is, as a country, we've come to appreciate a lot of things. We know that in terms of even our brothers, Muslims, and our sisters, when they are going on Hajj and all this, government do participate in terms of helping facilitate the process. If the Christian community indeed wants to embark on this, and the president who believes in God and believes that it's God that has brought us that far, say, you know what, let me contribute a land. Let the country contribute a land. Let these people mobilize their funds and build a structure that beyond people going in there to worship, it can equally be used for other things. Serve as a tourist attraction center. That would even attract revenue for government.
When this facility is done, who manages it? You're saying government is not contributing to the building of the facility.
So the government equity is the land.
That's right.
So obviously government has interest in it.
Right.
And whatever revenue that will be realized from it in terms of the using of the usage of the facilities for conferencing and for museum and also other tourist attractions, and the government is going to benefit from that. So we should understand that in terms of government concept, government has thought of a plan that will not take a penny from your taxes. It's not bringing any money from anybody. It is something that is going to be contributed by the churches themselves.
So you agree that government is going to manage it, right?
Of course, obviously, government will partner the trustee in managing this whole enterprise.
What do you have in place? A strategy for also maintenance, because we do know that maintenance is a problem when it comes to.
Of course, obviously we do have that, and going forward, I'm sure all these plans will come to the fore. And what we want people to understand is that, you see, people are coming up with all manner of fictitious analysis. Some of them claiming that you are going to. I heard somebody on the radio say they are going to pull down hospitals, they are going to pull down military camps. I mean, these are people's figment of people's imagination.
Just hold on briefly for me. We do have on the line the General Secretary of the Christian Council, Dr. Reverend Opuni, the former General Secretary of the Christian Council, Dr. Opuni Frimpong. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, my sister. Let me say good afternoon to your team and your cherished viewers.
Yes, thank you so much for speaking to us. Now, the issue of the National Cathedral, some have mentioned or said that Ghana is a secular nation. In your opinion, do you think that we do need a national cathedral?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It seems to me this idea that Ghana is must be put in proper perspective. When you talk about that, it does not deny religious presence in Ghana. It does not deny that almost about over 90% of Ghanaians are related with religious bodies. It doesn't deny the fact that even our constitution will call for the name of God. It doesn't deny the fact that our president swear in the name of God, whatever you believe, whether Bible or Quran. I think when you say Ghana is secular state, what we are saying is we are not being governed under a particular religious beliefs and practices. But it doesn't it doesn't deny the fact that religious presence in this country is a fact.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, Dr. Opuni. But then the issue here is that government is allocating this vast land to this infrastructure. What about other religious bodies?
Okay. So when we admit that calling Ghana a secular state does not deny the fact that Ghana is also having a strong religious presence, then we move from there. Now, we have met government, the president, on several occasions on the subject. What we have been told again and again is that this cathedral is not going to be built by government, but by the churches and those who are interested in its development. So that fact has been made very clear.
Can you explain further how, Dr. Opuni, can you explain further how it's going to be done by the churches?
Now, I am telling you what the information we have received from the president and from government, that this cathedral is not going to be built by government, but is going to be built by the churches and Ghanaians who are interested in it.
But I do believe that the churches are, and some of the churches are under the Christian Council, right?
Yes. There's a committee working on it, and they will come out by all means at a point how they are going to bring everybody on board. But from the information we have so far, this cathedral is not going to be built by government. What we have heard from the president is government is going to facilitate the process of land acquisition, which is not new. We have a mosque at Kaukudi, government facilitated acquisition of the land. But the mosque there is not being built by government. It's not different. The process towards the construction of the National Cathedral is not different from the mosque, which I think is going to be the biggest in the whole West Africa sub-region.
So, Dr. Do you as at now know the cost of this cathedral?
I told you that there's a committee of prominent people who are working on that. So at the moment, maybe I'm not sure when they come public with the figures. But Ghanaians...
And is the Christian Council ready to fund this?
No, when you talk about Christian Council, it's like
I mean the churches. The churches, that's what I mean.
All Christians in this country. So Ghana Catholic Bishop, Ghana Pentecostal Charismatic Christian Council, and even people who may not belong to this, but Ghanaians who want to see this dream fulfilled, will all be invited to be part of it. When we built our chapels and our cathedrals, this is not the first time Ghanaian Christians are building cathedrals and chapels. So the same processes we'll be using to build such facilities. And so what we are going to use, but now there's a committee working, and I think they are the initial stages. When we get to a time of raising money, whoever is interested will be invited to contribute. Right.
Thank you very much. Dr. Reverend...
My name is Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni Frempong.
Right, thank you very much.
I am a lecturer at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology at the moment.
Thank you very much.
Former General Secretary, Christian Council.
Just before you go, Doctor, the issue about location where the cathedral is going to be located now, and a couple of structures are going to be demolished for that cathedral to be built about it. I mean, there's concerns about it. People are talking about it. Are you worried?
Now, we got to know this last Saturday during Ayenini's program, News file. And then he made an appeal to president, to government. For us, all that we've been told is government will facilitate the process. We are not aware whose building will be pulled down and even what will go into the facilitation. And so for the land and the details about the land, we have not been told, and therefore I'm not privy to discuss the land issue in public. I got to know the first time the challenges that the land may go through. If I'm not from government side, not from the president who is facilitating the process, but from Newsfar, when our brother did his take on his program. And we are waiting. If it happens that government cannot facilitate, all the process of facilitation is going to create problems that we can't focus on that land. Why not? We look elsewhere. Because all that government president, in fact, has told us is that he will facilitate the process of land acquisition. If it's not that place and any other place in Accra, anywhere, why not? So for now, we will stretch our patience. If we can use that land for National Cathedral, any land available anywhere that will let Ghana as a country, we have a National Cathedral for such national Christian purposes, we will be fine with it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Opuni-Yeboah. Now, Richard, back to you. So you heard Dr. Opuni. I mean, if there should be an issue about land, they wouldn't mind if it is elsewhere. Would government consider it if, for instance, it really has to be moved elsewhere?
I mean, obviously, the desire is to have a national edifice that will serve the purpose of worshiping God, and beyond that, also be used for other purposes that would help the nation moving forward. The idea is not to necessarily go out there and demolish anything that could create a problem for the country. But as I've told you in my earlier submission, that assertion that it will lead to demolition of a couple of things and other things that have been mentioned are not entirely the case. I've told you that we know of an embassy or a mission property that will be affected. They are being relocated elsewhere. We know of, at the moment, one judge in or one judicial service staff who is still staying on one of the piece of the land, who is already in the process of being relocated, not because of this particular concept, but it's being relocated as part of the development arrangement that the Judicial Council has with the developer that is putting together about 21 facilities for its members. So we need to understand it from that point of view. There's also a private person who is also being engaged by government in terms of acquiring that particular land and making sure that that is done. But in all this, what people ought to appreciate and understand is that, I mean, as a country, regardless of whether you believe in God or you do not believe in God, God has been good to us over the period. Like the doctor said, the Reverend Dr. Frimpong said, you know the national mosque being put together by our brothers and sisters within the Islamic community. Government facilitated the acquisition of land and other things. However, in terms of the funds for the property for the project, they went out there to solicit for funds, right, so and it's been put together. Finally, so there's nothing wrong with government facilitating and President of the Republic saying that I'll help to build a facility like that, not with the government money, but just making sure that we bring land as our equity.
So my final question, you did mention that there's one judicial service person who's here to move, right?
Yes.
Who is catering for the alternative?
No, it's been taken care of by the developer. That's what I told you, that there was an initial arrangement before this whole idea came on board. There was an arrangement by the judicial service to put together a 21 facility for its members. Out of that, there were 9 people. 5 had already been relocated. Right. Additional 4 had been added on, and all this cost is being borne by the developer. And the last person is yet to be relocated, and the person is supposed to live at her own convenience. It's not being pushed. There has not been given any eviction notice and all those things. So some of the stories you are hearing on air are not the case. Right. So at the end, the what government and His Excellency the President desire is for us to have a facility that can serve several purposes, that can make sure that at least we will not go about destroying our own football fields for religious events and other things. And we can have such a place that can generate funds for the government and the country.
Thank you very much. He is the government spokesperson on infrastructure. Now, let's look at some issues of elections. Now, the Election Commission is yet to provide the cost in creating the 6 new regions. Deputy Minister for Regional Reorganization, Martin J. Kosa, made this known on Sunrise on 3FM.
The Electoral Commission has set December 27 for the referendum on the creation of 6 new regions, namely Bono East, Ahafo, Western North, and Oti. The rest are Northeast and Savannah. 47 new districts will be created out of the new regions. The Deputy Minister of Regional Reorganization, Martin J. Kosa, on 3FM's morning show, Sunrise, said the cost for the creation of the additional regions is not known since the commissioners of the Electoral Commission just took office.
The cost we can know if we do an aggregate. That's what I'm saying, that the Electoral Commission is the mother organization doing this exercise.
But have we done the aggregates now?
The EC is supposed to furnish a country with that.
The EC has not furnished the country.
They will furnish us with that. The EC took office barely 2-3 weeks ago.
So the point is that as we speak, we don't have those figures.
You can have it. It is wrong to say we don't, because you just have to do a little collation of what role EC is going to do.
Yeah, so that collation hasn't been done.
It hasn't been done by the Electoral Commission, who has
so the cost is unknown for now.
It's unknown. I cannot provide that for you now. But then it goes to buttress the point that it's unknown to the extent that all the figures being bandied around are not true.
The 932 million.
It's all not true. And so people should stop it.
Some chiefs and opinion leaders, particularly in the Volta region, have petitioned the president against the decision. A demonstration by the coalition of Volta youth groups called for a halt to the process, but rather a revamp of regions.
I beg to differ that the cost of paying 2 people as a minister and deputy is why the region proposed, with all the accompanying developments, should not happen. Is that a fair assessment you make? I think we are oversimplifying this matter. If we were to adopt those people's claim, and that let's go and revamp or retool the districts, it's going to accrue in equally higher numbers of employment.
The creation of new regions was a major campaign promise of both the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party.
The freight forwarders are embarking on strike beginning today, August 27, to protest against the implementation of the cargo tracking node system at the ports. The action has been necessitated by what the businesses say is government's failure to heed concerns on the policy which impedes trade facilitation. Now, the strike means that from today, there's not going to be any duty collection at the ports in Takoradi and Tema. The business associations partaking in the action include the Customs Brokers Association of Ghana, the Association of Customs House Agents Ghana, Freight Forwarders Association of Ghana, and the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, as well as GUTA. The CTN requires importers to provide real-time information on all consignments to Ghana to a global monitoring platform. The cost, which ranges between $100 and $200, is being borne by the GRA. Already, the Ship Owners and Agents Association has bemoaned the impact of the unresolved issues on the low volumes of cargo and revenue. On the phone lines is Kwabena Ofosu Apia, who is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. Good afternoon to you, Kwabena.
Good afternoon, my dear.
So why do you have an issue with the cargo tracking node system? Is it that you do not want to provide information on goods that are coming into the country, or what?
No, you see, our issue is very simple. We are saying that the stated claims of the cargo tracking node cannot be delivered. Simple as that. Why we say this is so. If any system claims to validate what you put on it, then it must be able to have access to the source of whatever it is validating. So if the system is standalone, you know, my dear, we do this job. We know the end-to-end process. So if you bring any intervention which claims it is going to take documents from source and validate it for customs usage here, and when you know that this system is not linked to any other system anywhere, not outside
But they are saying
Ghana,
that the system, the CTN, is linked to a global monitoring platform.
That is not true. Who said that? That is not true. Let them show it to us. We were with the consultant a while ago at Honorable Kukuka's instruction, the Deputy Minister of Finance. This question was put to him. He owned up to it, that his system is standalone. See, this are the truths that are not being told, my dear. And then it is being put out there as if because there's a certain stereotype of us. You see, people are just jumping on that stereotype to sell their word, and that is what we are not going to take.
So how is this CTN affecting operations at the port? See,
if you set up a bureaucracy, because you can agree with me that CTN is an added bureaucracy. If it is not available, if there are downtimes, the shipper cannot just ship. You see, if you have established an added bureaucracy, people who must interface with that bureaucracy are charging. Okay? The forwarder outside there is charging for the process. The usage of the CTN system itself, they say government is absorbing it now. That in itself is a strange claim. That is also the user fee is a fee. The shipping lines have rearranged their setup to be able to enforce the CTN code on the bill of lading. They are also charging. Okay? Now, when you come to the availability of the system, anytime there is a downtime, what it means is that you cannot ship. So who keeps your wares outside there?
And is this downtime a frequent occurrence?
Come again. It is frequent. Ask you if you have any link with the Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana, the shipping lines, their principals, they are complaining. If you saw the Business and Financial Times of Friday, you see it there. They have issued a statement saying that, the low processing speed of this thing. My dear, we are raising genuine issues. Let folks listen to the issues that we are raising and stop looking at the container.
So you did mention you did mention that you are beginning a strike action today. Is that strike action on course? Have you begun a strike?
The strike action is on course. It's in effect. It is in effect, my dear.
And how long do you plan to go on the strike?
We are rolling for the next 3 days.
Have you heard from government?
We have not heard from government.
Thank you very much. Kwabno Fosuapia is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. Now, on to our MTN video report today. Our citizen journalist Margaret Kotoku highlights the air pollution at Echuma Brofuyedu in the Ashanti region.
This is the refuse dumping place of Echuma Brofuyedu off Obuasi Road. Those of us who stay near here can't stay inside our rooms until this smoke dies down. We are suffering. I don't know what they use the money they collect for the refuse dumping for. There are houses near here. This house is uncompleted, but the house behind us is very completed. People can't stay here. Babies are here. And the children are all standing outside because we are afraid to be inside our rooms. We may get our houses burnt. From Echuma Brofuyedu off Obuasi Road, a citizen journalist.
Margaret, thank you very much. Now, you can also send your video report via our WhatsApp platform 055-1433-044. This is Midday Live on TV3. Don't go away. Welcome back. Over 500 workers of defunct Beige Bank are set to exit the company from today, August 27, following restructuring by the managers of the consolidated bank. Now, TV3 News understands that the workers are mostly microbanking staff of the erstwhile bank. There's more in the following report.
Was contained in a memo circulated to all members of staff on August 24, 2018. The affected workers comprised tellers as well as field service operators who were responsible for the collection of deposits of majority of Beige Bank's customers who are in the informal sector. The staff also liaised with the branch officers for withdrawals and other services so required by their respective customers. The affected workers have a 2-week window to clear themselves and account for all the company assets. This spans from Monday, August 27 to Friday, September 7, where they are to reconcile and hand over all documents on all the accounts of their clients to the bank. Already, all workers of the 5 defunct banks, now under the consolidated bank, are to undergo a skill set by the end of next month to determine their stay or exit from the bank. It is unclear whether this is part of a broader retrenchment exercise expected due to the consolidation of the 5 banks.
Secretary to the Bank of Ghana Board, Caroline Otu, is heading to the new Ethics and Investigative Office of the Central Bank as its head. This is part of ongoing restructuring of the Central Bank. However, sources say this has nothing to do with the recent collapse of 5 banks and reports that some officials at the Bank of Ghana might have been compromised in terms of their supervision of these defunct banks. Now, sources say the move is part of measures to strengthen supervision of banks in the country and the BOG's own internal workings. She's expected to be supported by an experienced team to help investigate the background and auditing background as well as ethics of officials at the Bank of Ghana. Madam Otu's appointment is expected to take effect from next month. Mrs. Otu has served as a secretary at Bank of Ghana and also head of legal department since August 6, 2012. She also served as non-executive director at Agricultural Development Bank Limited since September 6, 2013 until July 31, 2017. That's all for business for this afternoon. Let's look at some other stories. Now, about 2,000 rent-related issues have been recorded at the Ashanti Regional Rent Control Office in Kumasi from January to July this year. Now, the figure is said to be the highest so far compared with previous years. Now, the issues border on landlords trying to forcibly eject tenants, non-payment of rent and utility bills by tenants, among others. Ashanti Regional Correspondent Beatrice Piogabra was at the Rent Control Office to interact with Regional Rent Manager Douglas Mackenzie Bodo.
Nti me kura na me di fie no e ba re control say e papa wi mfie aduonu num no mo ati fie nda so tim ne nana bi na na gi fie ni skadi ne nana nso wuye no eja busuafo no mo ku fie no yeso e papa ka che say fie no ne madia na me de ba re control na eja ye gi fie e de mai no mo atitim nyina tuye minu abe ma no ye de da ne ma han say de ye fie no wo gi ska na ba ma hu ni biem Amfie na no so ye no sa ba no sa ba gigi fie ni sika nyina sa akodi toilet ni fie ho aban da bia be sama me ekọ court se ma ya anye toilet fie ho a ye be ba be chime me so abere wa miniska
obi abeta me fie waso ohia ono nkwan ni mita na me hwe ne mod bed wo so microwave rice cooker curtain ni ade to ka sa na mo se ma ni mita na ma no a oni fie ofora be ntokwa wo mita no kan asem ho na m ko bo ka je mita na ma no wo tira mo 3 years na onam se ko na ye register nti mi am de che ko register bre no me ye wo ntua ka fie mi san wo tukọ is an 17 point something ayemika
me be ha dan e betna den me na me busa fie ra se bo so me light be na e basen no say be no odi ni mita no be ma ada na msada no ontu anamo no say wokọ mse ni din ni computer ne so ne van say 1 year na be ni bae e ba 23 million wase me nkwa me ntua 17 million na me ka chen 17 million pa de me nya den me nya say ska no na dan no me ha ne say me ntua 17 million wase da bi on de be ko court me ko no me say enko electricity on ye no mo nko ye ko ye no e no me kan no me say ntua ska ni bi no me so kan ya ne den e man me tua 8 million e de ama fi wura no so on fa bi nso so no mo nso kan ya no mo so wi a de na e be ba no me ameje ne makotua me mo no mfa diskantua na me receipt a de abre no wase da bi chenchina wo tumi.
Can you tell us how frequent rent-related issues come to your office?
Ever since I came to the Ashanti region, close to 1 year now, the number of cases that we've received here is so huge and that you cannot even imagine.
Can you put a figure to it, like within the 1 year that you've been in office, how many rent-related issues have come to?
I didn't do that from the time I came. I did it from this year. What we have here now is 2,461 cases from January to July 2018. That is what we have so far.
Would you say it's an increase or a decrease if you are to look at the previous cases that
increase as compared to the previous years?
So that is the Ashanti Regional Manager of the Rent Control Office, Mr. Douglas Mackenzie Kodo, who is giving advice to both landlords and tenants that if you are a tenant and you are going to rent out a place, make sure that you get the agreement, read and understand before you pay to the rightful landlord. And if you are also a landlord that you want to give out a place to somebody to rent, make sure that the necessary amenities are also there so that the backlog of cases that are here, if you look behind me, all these people are landlords and tenants who have one issue or the other, and they've come here to try to resolve it. Beatrice Piogabra, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Now to another issue that needs resolving, and gaps in the existing legislation on ownership of property during marriage linger on. Through legal application, it has become evident that certain amendments are necessary to ensure the law meets its objective. The issue came up at the vetting of presidential nominees for the Supreme Court by the Appointments Committee of Parliament. Evelyn Tingma has more.
The issue of joint property in marriage has undergone considerable developments since the 1950s. The law then was that whatever a husband acquired with or without assistance from his wife belonged solely to the husband. The courts later adopted the principle that if there was evidence of substantial contribution by the other spouse, then the property would be considered jointly owned. In 2011, the Supreme Court stated that the sharing of spousal property should no longer be dependent on the substantial contribution principle, and that property acquired during marriage is joint property even if the spouse did not make any contribution, and that a spouse, where it is equitable and just, may be entitled to an equal share in the said property. But the controversy has been what constitutes a reasonable share. Members of the Appointments Committee of Parliament were interested in finding out the opinion of justices nominated by the President to the Supreme Court, since the Spousal Property Rights Bill is yet to be passed by Parliament.
The mere fact of marriage means that whatever is acquired is joint property. If you take it jointly acquired, contribution is no longer part of the issue, you won't have the problems you're having.
The nominees asked Parliament not to sleep over the bill but pass it for the good of all. But the First Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osei-Wusu, noted the bill is currently not before the House.
It was at the 5th Parliament. We did a tour of the countries to collate views. By the time we finished collating views and prepared a report, the term of Parliament was over. It was represented in 2013. You know, when the amendments are so many, it's difficult to take them, and they were very critical issues. So it never got space. I think it never appeared on the floor of the House, but the committee finished its work and proposed the amendments. But this Parliament, it has not been here yet.
He said spousal rights issues are becoming major concerns, a reason why they want to know how the nominees will deal with such matters if brought to the Supreme Court.
It's been 25 years. Parliament has not done it. So it is natural that people will ask questions. But the more difficult issues is really about what constitutes contribution. I have very strong views about that. The thing that people talk about, my views are totally different.
Now, after the break, Nana Kojo-Afre brings you all the latest in sports. Don't go away.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Midday Live here on TV3. My name is Nana Kojo-Afre with the sports updates. Let's get into the details. And World Boxing Organization super bantamweight champion Isaac Dugbe claims he has not gotten the credit he deserves despite reviving Ghana boxing. Here's a report by Michael Otieje.
Dogbe defended his WBO title against Japan's Hidenori Otake with a first-round knockout to widespread celebrations back home, but says he and his father and trainer, Paul Dogbe, have largely been neglected. The 23-year-old became Ghana's youngest boxing world champion when he won the title in April and has been credited with championing the revival of the sport. But the young boxer feels it is not reflected in the support he deserves on the commercial side.
Look, we have revived boxing, and in the end, we shouldn't be on the losing end. We should have sponsorships. We should have people, to come in. We are putting the nation on a national platform, international platform. We are portraying the nation in a positive manner. However, we don't feel that we are getting that credit that we deserve. Because if we are doing this on this stage, why should we be losing? Why should we still be in debt? We've given our soul, we've put in our blood and our sweat into reviving boxing in Ghana. But what is the cost of, what's the reward from that? Nothing.
Dogbe grew up in London before returning to Ghana to shape his boxing career, and also feels that may have contributed to his lack of appeal within the Ghanaian boxing community.
Maybe it's because I'm not from Bukom, or maybe it's because I'm not one of the fighters from Bukom who was a kid who grew up in Bukom and was fighting, and maybe it could be. I don't know where that is coming from. I don't know how that came about. All we have done is revive the sports of boxing in Ghana. But for some reason, there's some friction that's going on between Ghana boxing community and Team Dogbe.
On to our next story. And Ghana has been stripped of the right to host the 2018 Africa Women's Cup of Nations after a decision by the Confederation of African Football, CAF. With just 3 months before the start of the competition, CAF has been left unimpressed with the progress work at the venues for the competition, which led to the decision to strip Ghana of the right to host it. CAF President Dr. Ahmed has revealed that they are talking to some countries to take over as host of the 2-week competition. A new host will be announced next month during the CAF Extraordinary General Assembly in Egypt. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Youth and Sport says that they have not been served with any letter from CAF in relation to the hosting of the 2018 African Women's Championship. So they are waiting for that letter. But the news is that Ghana has been stripped of the right to host it. But Atletico Madrid Scouting Network has been lauded in recent years, and Thomas Partey is a perfect example of that, with the Ghanaian making his 100th appearance for the club on Saturday. The 2017-2018 season saw Partey become an ever-present within Diego Simeone's squad, with the Argentine appreciating his versatility. As Simon Vlaselko struggled to convince the former River Plate coach of his worth, Partey took on the mantle of playing as a utility right-back, earning a lucrative new contract in the process. And now let's do a last story before we wrap up. Ghana and Levante attacker Emmanuel Boateng has been given the all-clear to rejoin full-scale training after a period of light work. Last week, the 22-year-old stepped up his rehabilitation from a knee injury with a special routine exercise away from the first team. He suffered a setback in a preseason game last month. Boateng missed Levante's opening game of La Liga at Real Betis last week due to his condition, but according to his club, Levante, the Racing Stars, will be back in action on Sunday in their derby against Valencia. So that's all the sports here on Midday Live. My name is Anako Jaffa. International News is up next.
Theresa May is preparing to visit Africa for the first time since becoming Prime Minister in 2020. 2016. Mrs. May will fly to South Africa on Tuesday before traveling to Nigeria and Kenya as part of a trade mission aimed at boosting post-Brexit fortunes.
The Prime Minister said the trip would be a unique opportunity at a unique time for the UK. She added the UK wanted to deepen and strengthen its global partnerships as it prepared to leave the EU in 2019. Mrs. May will be accompanied to the 3 countries, all of them Commonwealth countries, by a 29-strong business delegation. Security issues will also feature on her agenda, and she is expected to discuss the threat of Boko Haram in Nigeria and the role of British troops based in Kenya, who are helping countries fight Al-Shabaab militants in Somalia. Mrs. May's visit to Nairobi will mark the first by a UK Prime Minister to Kenya since Margaret Thatcher in 1988. It is also the first to Sub-Saharan Africa by a British leader since David Cameron in 2013 for Mr. Mandela's memorial service. Mrs. May said a prosperous, growing and trading Africa was in the interest of all, adding the continent's incredible potential will only be realized through a concerted partnership between governments, global institutions and businesses.
Meanwhile, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta will meet US President Donald Trump in the Oval Office for 20 minutes before going into an expanded bilateral meeting in the Cabinet Room with their delegations. The US is the largest source of tourists to Kenya, and the country hopes direct flights from Nairobi to New York from October will boost arrivals.
Kenya is the 85th largest supplier of goods imported into the US, and trade between the 2 countries is worth $1.5 billion, according to America's Department of Commerce. Kenya also wants to secure financing for a new $4.5 billion highway from the port city of Mombasa to the capital, Nairobi. Kenya is seen as a strategic partner to the United States in the fight against terror in the East and Horn of Africa, and both countries have troops in Somalia. Strengthening security cooperation will be on the agenda when the 2 leaders meet in Washington, D.C. President Kenyatta will also meet UK Prime Minister Theresa May on Thursday in Nairobi, after she visits South Africa and Nigeria.
Up next is entertainment. The self-acclaimed Africa rap king Michael Owusu, popularly known in the showbiz circle as Sarkodie, surprised Dr. Duncan on Akasemu Show on Onua 95.1 FM. The rapper cleared the air on parting ways with Kumasi rapper Strongman.
It was a surprise for Dr. Duncan when Sarkodie entered the Onua FM studios to be part of Akasamu Show on Saturday. Young rappers at the studio were excited to see Sarkodie, who they regarded as a role model. Sarkodie and Dr. Duncan took listeners and the talents through the time they started Kasahari, which served as a huge encouragement to the talents and other musicians. The Success Music CEO did the obvious by releasing some freestyles. Sarkodie spoke on speculations that he had parted ways with Osei Kweku Vincent, known as Strongman.
Strongman is not in prison. I'm dictating how he moves, but definitely he's a success, an artist supporting the brand, and I'm proud to be part of it as well. And we are doing more. I think he has done enough for Ghanaians to see what he has, and he's still doing more.
He also talked about the reason why he came on the show, surprisingly.
Akasemu is back, Dr. Duncan is back, Real Rap is back, the originator is back, and I want to urge all the young ones out there from Kumasi to Takrade to wherever that you are, make sure you make your way here to Onua FM every Saturday, 6 to 9. I came here today because I had to pay the respect. This is what made me, and I will urge each and every one, the superstars in the building, to always make it a point to come here. This is where you build your numbers before you come out. So by the time you guys are out here, build like a cult following from here. Uncle Pedro maybe you're no born in mana bro. Assembly care so meka ya pro defeaters approach Africa man ya hey mo bro.
And that's it for Midday Live for today. Do go to 3news.com for more news. My name is Efwa Tieku. Have a lovely afternoon.